Hi everyone, this is Tulika Mishra. I'm a member of COPS IIT BHU. Today's topic for the video will be two pointers, sliding window and prefix sums. So let's start with prefix sum first. So imagine you have a question of the form given Q queries in which you will be given L comma R, the indexes for the array. You have to find or return the sum between those indexes. So one basic approach or naive approach for this is for every query L comma R, you traverse the entire array from L to R and just keep storing or adding the values and return the sum. So when we look at its complexity, the complexity of this operation is Q into N because we are given Q queries and the max traversals you can do in one query are N. So this may work from some problems, but when Q and N are quite large, like Q is one or the order of 1e5 and N is also of the order of 1e5. So this Q into N is very large and will cause TLE. So to counter this, we have a technique known as prefix sums. So the prefix sum array stores the sum of elements from beginning up to that index. So here the sum of elements is only for operations which pertain to the sum. Like if you are given L comma R, you have to find if you have to find the sum between them, then you store the sum. Otherwise, there are variations of this array. So let's see how it works for the basic sum operation. So as I said, it stores the sum of elements from beginning up to index. So for this array, we see prefix sum of 0 is array of 0. Prefix sum of 1 is array of 0 plus array of 1 and so on. So is 1 plus 2 gives 3, then 1 plus 2 plus 4 gives 7 and so on. So the code for this is, it is pretty simple. If you are given an array and the size, this is the prefix array. Prefix of 0 will be array of 0 and for every I greater than 0 and less than n, prefix of I will be array of I plus prefix of I minus 1. So this works like for I equal to 1. So this will be prefix of 1 will be array of 1 which is 2 plus prefix of 1 minus 1 which is 0. So 1 plus 2, 3. Then further on it will be like 3 plus 4, 7. Then 7 plus 5, 12. Then 12 plus 1, 13. So you see this is pretty simple in its working. So let's see where this is used. Like I said, one type of example is for finding the answer to range queries. So for the sum example, like if we are given an range 2 comma 4, so the way for finding the sum will be prefix of r minus prefix of n minus 1. So it's like when if you have stored the all the sum from the beginning to that index. So for finding the sum between 2 comma 4, uh, for finding the sum between 2 comma 4, it is pretty simple. That it is pretty simple to understand also that you just keep the sum up till 0 to 4th index, then you minus it with the sum up till 0 to 1 index. So this just gives you the sum between the 2 comma 4. So this is how it works. And like I said, there are variations to this. It is not only used with sum, but other operations also like XOR or multiply. But there is some condition to it. We can only use it with invertible operations. So we cannot use it to find the max or minimum in a range. Because if I am like somehow able to calculate the minimum between 0 to 4 and also 0 to 1, so it does not give me a like hard cleared answer to what the minimum will be between 2 comma 4. So it does not give me a clear answer. Also, for different variations of it, like for multiplication, if we see, so there will be some changes in the code that you will be using multiplication here, and for finding the values, you'll be using divide here. So that's according to the question. For XOR, the both plus and minus here will be replaced by the XOR operator. Okay. Another sort of problem in which we use this prefix sum is for performing the queries on an array. So in the previous way, we answered the queries for a given array. Here we are given an empty array and we have to perform the Q queries. The queries are of the type L comma R, and we are asked to increment all the array values for I between L and R. So let's look at the brute force approach for this. Yeah. So again, the brute force approach is the same as in answering the queries. You start a loop from L to R and you individually update all the values. So if I'm given the queries like this, so this is how it would go. So again, the complexity for this will be order of q into n. So again, the same problem arises if q and n are quite large. So this will give a TLE. So we can use the prefix sum approach. What we do in this is initially we are given an empty array. So so it is all zero at all the indexes. If I'm given some query like L comma R, like 1 comma 2. So what I do is, let's assume this array is ARR. So what I do is array of L that's equal to 1 and array of R plus 1 minus equal to 1. So let's see how this will work. So here 1 comma 2 for R plus 1 is 3 here. So simply I'll be adding 1 here and subtracting 1 here. So this will change here. So for 0 comma 5 also 0 will be incremented and 6 will be decremented. And for 7 7 now since array of r plus 1 this exceeds n minus 1 exceeds size minus 1, so we'll ignore this step and we just do this step, we increment 7. Final step what we do is we again like the operation we did in finding the prefix array, we do that and we have this array. So if we observe this answer which we get here and the answer we get here is same. So this is not in this particular case. It happens in all the cases. Okay, so let's see why this works. And for this, I'll check what effect a single query has on the final array. So I'll assume the final array as prefix and the initial array as ARR. So let's assume there's some value L comma R for which I've done these operations. So we can even consider something like this point. Okay. Or let's take a separate array for this. Let's assume our array is, yeah. So this is my L for this explanation purpose, and this is R plus 1. So since I incremented array of this, so when I find the final prefix, what changes will it have? So the prefix array for this will be some 0, 0, then 1 because of it. Now again 1, 1, 1, and again 0. Let's see what changes it had. Prefix of L was incremented because of this. This is L. Prefix of L plus 1 was incremented. L plus 2 was incremented, and so on up till R. Because this was R plus 1, so up till R this was incremented. Now let's see what happened at prefix R plus 1. So since there was originally a minus 1 there and I had a 1 here, so overall this made like null change. So there was no change because of this here. So what did we intend to do? We wanted that array of L comma R should be incremented. All the values between L comma R should be incremented, and that's what happened here. Because of minus 1 here, the change which was happening because of array of L plus equal to 1 was stopped here itself. So this is how it works. I hope it was clear. Okay, let's find out what the complexity for this will be. So initially I'll be doing all these queries or some changes in it. So if you look closely, you'll see like all the changes, these changes are O of 1. So they do not depend upon the length of the array. They are constant operations. We are just doing two operations or one if R plus 1 is exceeding. And since there are Q operations, so the overall complexity for this is O of Q here. And the final operation we are doing is the finding the prefix sum for this. So that is order of O of n. So the final complexity will be order of Q plus n. So by brute forcing we had the complexity of order of Q into n, and now it has been reduced to order of Q plus n. So for the purposes of like Q, when Q and n were very large, unified, this will easily pass. So this was all two prefix sums. The code for this is right here for what I explained. So simply code is like you are taking L comma R, which is our queries, you are doing array of L plus equal to 1, and if R plus 1 is within the size of the array, like valid indexes, so I'll be doing this. And for final, for O of n, I'll be finding the prefix of the array. So this is some sort of prefix, and this is just printing the final array. This will depend upon question to question. So okay, so these are some practice problems. This document will be linked in the description, so you can go through this again and practice these problems. So now let's talk about two pointers and sliding window. So as the name suggests, two pointers technique uses two variables which we use as pointers to point to two different locations in the array. So these two variables or pointers are used to iterate the array, and the two pointers are unidirectional. That is, they move in only one direction, and the overall complexity for traversing is O of n. So let's look at the working for this using the two-sum problem. This is a very famous problem. The statement for this goes like, given an array of n numbers and a target, we have to find two array values such that the sum is x, or we have to report that no values exist. So first let's start with a brute force solution for this. So one brute force solution can be, I can put a loop for these two values. So this is my loop for the two values, and I have to check if if the sum of these values is equal to target, then we have found our answer. Otherwise we'll just continue. So the overall complexity for this, since we have used two nested loops, is O of n squared. So this may work for some cases where n is small, but if n is large, let's say of the order of 1e5 or 10 to the power 5, so the n squared will go as 10 to the power 10. Okay, so this will give a TLE on most judges, most platforms, because 10 to the power 10 takes many seconds to run. Okay, so that is not an efficient solution for it. So let's look at what the efficient solution will be using two pointers. Okay, so in two pointers, first this is my two pointers. So I will point to the in the beginning to the 0th index, and j will point to the n minus 1th index, where n is a size. Okay, before this we also have to sort the array. Okay, so we can do this using any standard sorting algorithm which takes n log n time, using quick sort or merge sort. And in some questions it is already given that we have a sorted array, so we just skip the step in this. Okay, after this, while we are traversing through the array, we can have three cases. So case 1 is where array of I plus array of j is equal to the target. So this case is pretty simple. We have found our answer, and we can just print it out or use it wherever we want. Now second case is where array of I plus array of j is less than target. So let's take an example array for this. So let's take a sorted array. I points to here first and in the beginning, and j points here. So now if let's say our target is 10, so here first array of I plus array of j is less than target, right? So what should we do? Which pointer should we move? So let's say if I first move the j pointer. So okay, I also told you that the pointers are unidirectional, they move in only one direction. So j will always move in the left direction and I always moves in the right direction. So now if I move j, so overall sum becomes 2 plus 6 becomes 8. It actually reduces, and this will always reduce if I move j, because the array is sorted. So the value at j minus 1 is always less than the value at j. So this means that the overall sum will always reduce. But our sum is already less than target, so we do not want the sum to reduce. So in this case, what I do is I plus plus, because while if I move I to the right side, I am going toward the bigger value. So this is favorable for me. So, and the last case is the opposite of case 2, where this is greater than this. So as I explained, in this case we should move j, because by moving j we are moving towards a smaller value, so smaller sum, and we have a greater chance of finding the target. So these are the three cases. Now let's look at the code for this. Okay, so this condition I is less than j, this is just for maintaining that the ith pointer will always point to the smaller of the pair, the smaller value of the pair, and j will be the greater value. So since the array is sorted, so maintaining that I is less than j, otherwise the condition will be reversed, like j will then point to the smaller, so all these values will then have to change. Okay, so these are my three cases which I have explained already. First is when I have found the answer. So okay, also I have taken this boolean variable here, flag equal to 0. So this only is used to mark if I have found a value or not. You can skip this if you want. So here I have found a value, so flag is equal to 1, and I'll break through the loop. Otherwise, if the value is less, then I do I++, and if it is more, then j minus minus. So I have used flag here. So if flag is still 0, that means no value has been found, right? So I'll see out -1 to signify that no pair was found. Okay, so let's now look at the complexity for this. So okay, so first is since we have sorted the array, like if we have sorted the array, so I'll have to add O of n log n to it for sorting the array. Now let's check the traversal. So I had told you the complexity for traversing the array is O of n. Let's see how it is O of n. So okay, so what is the worst case in this? The worst case will be like no value was found, and we have just traversed the entire array. So if the worst case will be something like this, if j has surpassed I. So I has moved from 0th index up till this index, and j has moved from n-1 to this index. So if we sum the number of moves of these, so it will be n, order of n. So this shows that the overall traversal will be only of order of n. So the final complexity is this, O of n log n plus n if we have sorted the array, and if we have not, then simply O of n. So from n squared we have reduced it to O of n. So this was all to 2 pointers. I'll now move to sliding window. So sliding window is actually quite similar to 2 pointers. There is one basic difference in it, which is the constant size subarray. So a sliding window actually is more about the elements between the 2 pointers. So like in 2 pointers we were only concerned with the values at I and j, but in sliding window we actually use it mostly to keep a track of all the elements inside the array. So let's see how that will work. So I have this question. This is also a very famous question, maximum sum subarray, and given an array of integers and a number k, we have to find the maximum sum of any subarray of size k. So subarray means consecutive elements. Okay, so let's check first what will the brute force solution of this be. So okay, so let's see how this will work on an array first. So if size is given to me as 3, so what values, what subarrays do I have to check? So a subarray starting at 0th index, which will be this, then this subarray, and so on. Okay, so the brute force solution is for I equal to I less than n minus k. Okay, so this is my left or the beginning of my window. Okay, and then these will be the array elements. So j will be I up till so these are all the values inside the window which is starting from I. Okay, so if I have to maintain the sum, I can keep some value here, and keep adding the values inside it. Okay, so this will give me all the possible possible subarrays. So I'll be iterating through all the possible subarrays and checking the sum value. So here I can keep updating the maximum I've found till now. Yeah, so using this I am iterating over all the possible subarrays, okay, which are starting at I and then going for k elements, keeping the sum and updating the maximum till here. This is okay, so this will work. What will be the complexity for this? It will be O of n into k. So O of n for this I value and k for this. Okay, so again this will work for some cases if n into k exceeds or it is a very large value. So if it exceeds time limits, that is when we will use the sliding window, and sliding window works in order of O of n. So let's check the idea behind the sliding window. So like I said, if k is 3, what will be the subarray that I will be checking? So 1 starting at 0, then 1 starting at first index, this will be, then starting at third index, and so on. So let's check what is the difference between the sum of the first and the next subarray. So when we check, only one new element is being added and one element is being removed. So for maintaining the sum, we do not have to keep storing the sum again and again, because if k is very large, then that is just repetition. We are again and again storing the sum. So instead of doing that, what I can do is, if I have some current sum, so now I know, let's assume that this sum is 1 plus 2 plus 3. So what change will I have to make to get this is, I need to add 4 and subtract 1. So this is like if I have an array, if this is an array, and let's specify the indexes. So if my current sum currently holds array of 0 plus array of 1 plus array of 2 up till k, so what I need is, I need to add array of k plus 1 in it and subtract array of 0. So this will give me the next sum for the next array. So this is only for the beginning case, when I is 0, like in the brute force, the window is starting from 0. If it is starting from some I, so this is I and I plus 1, I plus 2 up till I plus k. So if this was the sum, what changes will be, I have to add I plus, actually this will be k minus 1. So I have to add I plus k and I have to remove this. Okay, so this is the previous thing. If previously this window started from I equal to some value, some I, so for the next, what I'll be doing is, I have to remove this array of I and I have to add array of I plus k, this value. So let's look at the code for this. This is pretty much what I told. So given an array, the size, this is the size of the subarray. We are taking a current sum variable and a max sum. This is just the answer variable which we'll be updating. So first is the initialization, it's the base case. So for I equal to 0, this will store the first k elements. So this will store the first k elements, and that is what I'll be putting in max sum. Now for I equal to 1, this is where I have to change the subarray. So like I said, we have to remove one value and we have to add a new value. So in this, I had taken I as the index of the previous one. So for a new, if let's suppose this, I am taking this as I. So what change I have to make is, instead of this, I'll be removing I of minus 1. So if this is I am removing this, and what I'll be adding is this. So I have to add this and remove this. This all changes. This will be I minus 1. You get the point. This will all reduce by 1. So that's what I'm doing. Current sum will be reduced. I'll be removing array of a minus of I minus 1 and adding I plus k minus 1 and just updating the maximum and then finally see out the maximum. So overall complexity will be O of n because of this loop, and all these operations are O of 1. So overall complexity is O of n. Okay, so this was all for sliding window and 2 pointers. So I have linked some problems here again for the 2 pointer and sliding window. Please do go through them, and if you like this, if it was helpful to you this video, so please like it, comment, and please subscribe to our channel.